Hi there, welcome back. The most powerful people in history shared one hidden trait. They mastered the art of doing nothing. While the world rushed, panicked, and reacted, they stood still. Marcus Aurelius commanded Rome from a place of inner calm. Seneca faced death with perfect composure. Epictetus taught that true power isn't found in action, but in the ability to remain unmoved. Modern life has convinced you that constant motion equals progress. Check your phone, answer emails, chase the next deadline. But this frenzy isn't strength, it's weakness disguised as productivity. The Stoics understood what neuroscience now proves. Stillness isn't passive, it's the ultimate form of control. When you learn to be still, you stop reacting to life and start directing it. In the next 14 minutes, you'll discover why the most successful people practice stillness, how it rewires your brain for clarity, and the exact framework to build unshakable inner power. This isn't meditation advice. This is practical philosophy that changes everything. 1. The illusion of motion. Walk into any coffee shop and you'll see the same scene. Laptops open, fingers flying across keyboards, faces locked in concentration. Everyone looks busy. Everyone looks important. But ask them what they accomplished last week and watch the hesitation. We've confused motion with progress. The Stoics called this hêsychia, the disturbance of mind that mistakes activity for achievement. You're not building anything meaningful. You're just moving fast enough to avoid confronting what matters. The busyness becomes a shield against the uncomfortable question. Am I actually going anywhere? This isn't accidental. Your phone buzzes every few minutes. Your calendar fills with meetings that could have been emails. Your to-do list expands faster than you can complete it. And somewhere in this chaos, you lost the ability to simply be still. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Meditation's not as a philosophical treatise, but as personal notes to himself." Every morning, before commanding an empire, he sat in stillness, not to plan his day, to understand his mind, not to solve problems, to see which problems actually mattered. Stillness strips away the noise. When you stop moving, you see clearly which actions matter, which are just reactions to external pressure, which battles are worth fighting. Your brain operates in two modes. The task-positive network activates when you're focused on external tasks. But there's a second system, the default mode network. This activates during stillness, and this is where insight happens. Einstein discovered relativity during a daydream. Archimedes solved density in a bath. Newton watched an apple fall while sitting under a tree. The breakthrough wasn't in the doing, it was in the stillness that created space for seeing. Modern neuroscience confirms what the Stoics intuited. Your most important work happens when you stop trying to work. 2. The Stoic Framework. The Stoics didn't seek emotional numbness, they sought apatheia, a state where external chaos cannot disturb your inner calm. Seneca watched Nero's madness destroy Rome, watched friends executed, watched the empire crumble. Yet his letters reveal profound peace. Not because he didn't care, but because he understood. Your peace cannot depend on circumstances you don't control. When Nero finally ordered Seneca's death, the philosopher received the news with perfect composure. He comforted his weeping wife and opened his veins while discussing philosophy. The emperor could take his life, but could not disturb his stillness. Stillness isn't about ignoring problems. It's about refusing to let problems control your state of mind. When you achieve apatheia, you respond to crisis with clarity instead of panic. Epictetus was born a slave. His master broke his leg in rage, a permanent injury. By every measure, he had no power. Yet he became the most influential philosopher of his generation, teaching emperors. His secret? Prohairesis, the ability to choose your response. You don't control what happens, you control what happens next. And that choice requires stillness. In motion, you react instinctively. Someone criticizes you, and words fly out. Someone cuts you off in traffic, and rage floods your body. These reactions feel automatic, but they're not. There's a space between stimulus and response. Stillness reveals that space. Every decision made from reactivity compounds into regret. Every decision made from stillness compounds into wisdom. The ancient Greeks had a word, hêsychia, that means more than silence. It's the profound quiet that exists when your mind stops generating unnecessary noise. No inner commentary, no endless planning, no replaying conversations. This is where power lives, not in the thoughts you think, but in the space where thoughts dissolve. 3. How stillness creates control. Viktor Frankl survived Auschwitz by discovering one truth. Between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space lies your power to choose. But you cannot access that space in motion, only in stillness. Frankl watched prisoners who had everything stripped away. Some collapsed within days. Others maintained inner strength that baffled the guards. The difference wasn't in what happened to them. It was in their ability to find stillness in the space between what happened and how they responded. He saw men share their last piece of bread. He saw prisoners comfort each other in horror. They accessed something the chaos couldn't touch. That still point inside where choice lives. When someone criticizes you, the reactive mind defends immediately. The still mind pauses, observes, asks, "Is this true? Does this matter? What response serves my values?" That pause is where freedom exists. Jeff Bezos makes all major decisions before noon, when his mind is still fresh. Navy SEALs train in tactical breathing, not to eliminate fear, but to create mental stillness in chaos. Before entering combat, they pause, they breathe. They access that still point where clear decisions emerge. The still mind wins. Your emotions aren't the problem. Anger, fear, sadness, these are natural. The problem is what you do when these emotions arise. Most people become their emotions. Anger takes over. Fear dominates. Stillness creates separation. Not suppression, separation. You feel the anger, but you're not consumed by it. You notice the fear, but you're not controlled by it. This gap between feeling and action is where mastery lives. And this is where you might wonder, if stillness creates this kind of power, why isn't everyone practicing it? Because stillness feels like doing nothing. We're wired to believe action proves our worth. But the Stoics knew better. Stillness is the action that makes all other actions effective. If this resonates, a quick like helps share this with others who need it. 4. The practical path. Marcus Aurelius began every day with premeditatio malorum, visualizing everything that could go wrong. Not to create anxiety, but to remove the power of surprise. When you anticipate challenges in stillness, they lose their ability to disturb you. He'd sit quietly and imagine bad news, betrayal, defeat, illness, death. By confronting these possibilities in stillness, he stripped them of their power. When setbacks occurred, he'd already processed them. Spend the first 10 minutes of your day in complete stillness. No phone, no news, no planning. Just sit with your mind and ask, what challenges might I face today? How do I want to respond? Notice what emerges. The urgent tasks that seemed critical yesterday often reveal themselves as distractions. The important conversation you've been avoiding moves to the front. Stillness shows you the truth. You don't need a meditation retreat. The Stoics lived in the chaos of Rome, political intrigue, constant noise, endless demands. Yet they maintained inner quiet. The practice: pause before every significant decision. 3 conscious breaths. That's it. Before responding to an email that triggers you, pause, breathe 3 times, then respond. Before accepting a commitment that feels wrong, pause, breathe, then decide. Before speaking in anger, pause, breathe, let the reaction pass. These micro-stillnesses accumulate into a life of intentional action. Seneca practiced nightly reflection, not to judge himself, but to observe. What went well? Where did I lose composure? What would I do differently? This isn't self-criticism, it's self-awareness. And self-awareness only emerges in stillness. He treated mistakes as data. Each moment he lost his stillness became a teacher. This nightly stillness closed the feedback loop, turning experience into wisdom. 5. When stillness becomes power. The more you try to control external events, the less power you have. You exhaust yourself trying to manipulate outcomes, manage opinions, force reality to match your preferences. And reality doesn't cooperate. But the more you cultivate inner stillness, the more influence you gain. This is the Stoic paradox. Surrender control of outcomes, gain control of yourself. When you're still, you stop forcing. You stop manipulating. You stop exhausting yourself trying to change what cannot be changed. And in that surrender, you discover a different kind of power, the power to respond perfectly to whatever arises. People sense stillness instinctively. When you enter a room carrying inner chaos, anxiety, resentment, fear, others feel it immediately. They become guarded, distant, resistant. When you enter carrying stillness, something shifts. People lean in. They listen more carefully. They trust more quickly. Your nervous system broadcasts your internal state, and others respond. Stillness creates safety. The most magnetic leaders aren't the loudest. They're the stillest. They don't need to convince, defend, or prove. Their certainty speaks before their words do. Their presence carries weight because it's rooted in something solid. That unshakable quiet the Stoics cultivated. Stillness doesn't make you passive. It makes you precise. You stop wasting energy on reactions that don't serve you. You stop engaging battles that don't matter. You conserve your force for the moments that define your life. And those moments, you recognize them instantly. Not because you become smarter, but because stillness sharpens your vision. The noise falls away. What matters stands out clearly. And you act from that clarity with a force that reactive people can never match. This is what Marcus Aurelius meant. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Not someday. Right now, through the simple act of becoming still. 6. Final. Society profits from your chaos. Every notification is engineered to disrupt your stillness. Every headline is crafted to trigger reactivity. Every scroll is optimized to keep you moving, distracted, never satisfied. The Stoics lived in a world just as demanding. Wars, betrayals, plagues, constant threats. They didn't retreat to caves. They practiced stillness in the arena, in the palace, on the battlefield. And so can you. Not tomorrow. Not after you finish this video. Right now, you can choose stillness. Close your eyes for 3 breaths. Feel the weight of your body. Notice the space between thoughts. That space, that's where your power lives. Not in what you accomplish. Not in what others think. In the unshakable quiet that remains when everything else falls away. Join the practice. Write in the comments, I commit to stillness in one area. Replace one area with where you need it most. Work, relationships, your mind, your reactions. Then subscribe to Stoic Horology for practical Stoic wisdom that builds inner power, and hit like if this shifted how you see stillness. The Stoics left us a blueprint, not for an easier life, but for an unshakable one. The question isn't whether stillness works, it's whether you'll practice it. See you in the next one.